Brother Brian Howard, who is the development director of the World Video Bible School, and the great work that they are doing. He's going to tell us about that. He is a graduate of Florida School of Preaching. He has also a bachelor's degree from Ball State University. In fact, I think the first time that I met Brother Brian was up in Indiana. We were on a lectureship together at that time. He also holds a master's degree from Bear Valley Bible Institute. He's done full-time mission work in British Columbia, Canada. He's preached full-time for congregations in Florida, Indiana, and Texas. He is married to Rachel. They have a teenage son, Taylor, and they have 3 young daughters, Michaela, Caitlin, and Brooklyn. He's here, of course, to tell us about the great work that they're doing with World Video Bible School, and I think you'll be interested in hearing these things as well. Brother Brian, come speak.
Well, good morning. It is certainly a privilege to be here. Appreciate the invitation to come, and appreciate the work that Memphis School of Preaching is doing and all the people involved with that. It's been such a great opportunity to meet some of the students and just see. It reminds me of what it was like when I was a student and getting to be in that Christian bubble, and just, I know it's hard right now, but I look back and wish I could go back to doing that sometimes. But no, it's such a blessing to be here and get to be able to talk about this work. I got to find out what I did with that little clicker. All right. Okay. Well, let me just get started. What are you doing to reach the lost? What are you doing individually to reach lost souls? If you're like me, you'd like to be doing a lot better. Matter of fact, if I were to just go around the room and take a little survey and who would like to be more involved in evangelism, I think we'd all have our hands raised, wouldn't we? Because we want to be more involved in evangelism. That's why you're here. You're here at an evangelism seminar because you want to be more involved in reaching the lost. But how do we do that? You may not realize it, but you are some of the most powerful people in the world. You have the greatest physical blessings that this world has ever known. You have blessings that kings of the past could have only wished to have. But you also have the greatest access to the Word of God that anyone has ever had. And that makes you powerful. And that gives you and me a responsibility to use those resources and use that power to teach people the gospel. As a matter of fact, there are 153,000 people who will die today and tomorrow and every single day after that. That's a lot of people, isn't it? Death is going to come to people who are very old and very young and everywhere in between. And Jesus said in Matthew 7 verse 13, unfortunately, most of those are going to be lost. Paul said in 2 Thessalonians 1 verse 9 that they will be punished with everlasting destruction from the presence of the Lord, from the glory of His power. Friends, eternity is serious business. And that's why we're having a seminar like this. It is estimated that half of those people who die will have never had a good opportunity to hear the gospel. And that's hard to imagine because there are people who are searching. The wise man said in Ecclesiastes 3 and verse 11 that God has put eternity in our hearts. By the very fabric that we are made of, there is a desire for God. Now, there is a God-shaped void that only He can fill. But people are trying to fill it with all kinds of other things. As a matter of fact, do you know what one of the most popular sections in a bookstore is? It's the self-help section. You see, people are desperately searching for something to fill that void. But I want you to understand that you have the key. You have the shape. Like one of those little toys that kids have. You know, you get the circle, and it doesn't go in the square. The circle goes in the circle hole. The square goes in the square hole. Friends, you have the shape. You have what they're looking for. They just may not know what form it's going to be in. Jesus said, go into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. Well, what's the problem with that? I think I heard it from Brother Blaine. There are a lot of creatures out there. There are a lot of lost souls searching for the truth. There are 7.4 billion people in the world today, and that number is growing by a staggering 80 million souls every single year. That's another United States every 4 years. Here's the question. Is the church growing at that same rate? Are we growing by 220,000 souls entering the church every single day? How are we ever going to reach this growing population of people who don't have God in their lives? Well, we're going to have to get creative. We're going to have to get excited about evangelism again, and that's why the seminar is here, and that's why I'm here, to show you some of the resources that World Video Bible School has made available on behalf of the Lord's church for us to reach the masses of the world. Let me begin by showing you some of our evangelism DVDs. First of all, we have Searching for Truth. How many of you, by show of hands, how many of you know of Searching for Truth? Most of you do, yeah. A lot of congregations that I go to, there are a lot of people who don't. And if you're not familiar with Searching for Truth, maybe you're seasoned enough to remember the Jewel Miller film strips of the past. It's designed with the same idea in mind. Searching for Truth is designed to teach somebody everything they need to know to become a Christian. Just using today's technology, today's resources, we have given out about 1.1 million of these DVDs. It is estimated that about 10 million people have viewed this program, and we receive reports all the time of those using this as an evangelism tool, and I'll get to some of those reports here in just a few moments. But I want you to understand that this is something that you too can use in your evangelism. You can use it to pass out to your friends and to your neighbors and to your coworkers and anybody that you come across with. It's just a DVD that you can hand to somebody. You can send it to them in the mail, but the point is, we've got to use it. We've got to use it. All right, what must I do to be saved? That's a pretty good question, isn't it? I don't think there's a more important question we could ever ask. There are a lot of lost people out there, and as the illustration shows up there are a lot of lost people drowning. You may not realize it, but when somebody is physically drowning, it's not like what you see in the movies, where they're flailing their arms and yelling and screaming. That's usually not the way it is when somebody is physically drowning. Oftentimes what is going on when somebody is physically drowning is they're very silent. They don't even know that they're lost. They don't even know that they're drowning until it's too late. And they silently will sink underwater. That's the way it is when somebody is drowning spiritually. They're not going to come and yell and say, hey, I'm lost. They're not going to come to you on the street and say, hey, Billy, please tell me the truth. I need to know it. No, they're not going to do that. Most of the time they don't even know that they're lost. Friends, we have the only life raft, the only good news that can save it. We've just got to find a way to get it to them. This DVD, this short 38-minute lesson, is designed to do just that. Just hand it to somebody. Just give it to somebody. Satan has been very successful in getting people to believe the wrong answer about this question, has he not? What must I do to be saved? Are you kidding me? There are all kinds of answers you can get out there in the world if you ask people this question. Here's a quote from Mzimba, Malawi that we received. We would like to inform that at the last year our activities were done well. While 442 souls were baptized, 243 were restored, 1 new church started. Therefore, all things were done well because of your WVBS support. That's 685 souls that would not be saved without those who use this material and those who help us send this material out. The material works when and where it is being used. Before we get there, let me give you one more quote from Kumba, Cameroon. We come to you with great joy as God is working mightily through us to save souls over here in Cameroon. We had 689 viewers of God's Word, and God added 58 souls to the fold. What would we do without your wonderful material? Again, I hope you are beginning to think, how might I use this material in my evangelism? By the way, the material that I have on the table in the display hall is free. Please take it, all of it. I don't want to take any home. So please take all of it. Why are there so many churches? There's another good question. In fact, Ben Stein said one time, questions not answered well will not go away. I think that's pretty good. If we don't answer this question well, it's not going to go away. It's probably not going to go away anyways. As Don says in the lesson, there's an estimated 38,000 different religious groups today. Can they all be right? Does the true church of Jesus Christ really exist? We know it does, and we have the truth. We just have to show other people that. How do we do that? Well, here is a tool. Here is another resource, just one more resource to put it in front of people, to show them the truth about the Lord's church. People ask this question all the time, by the way. People are wondering, why are there so many churches? There's a story from Zimbabwe about a preacher who got on a bus, and he asked the bus driver, there just happened to be a DVD player on that bus, and he asked the bus driver, hey, you mind if I play this DVD right here? Why are there so many churches? And as a result, to make a long story short, 22 people were baptized and 2 congregations were started because a guy got on a bus and played a DVD. The point is, the material works when it is being used because the gospel works. The power is in the word. The power is in the gospel. The gospel is just as powerful today as it ever has been. And this material is just a tool. It's a resource to help you and to help our congregations in showing them the truth. Well, one of the ways that we are going to reach the masses is to get back those we've lost. Now, according to a Pew study in 2016, 78% of Americans who claim to have no religion were once part of a religious group but have now fallen away. We all know people who've fallen away from the Lord's church, and we want them back. We miss them. Matter of fact, any congregation across America today, I know, that has been there for any length of time has probably had a lot of people who've fallen away, and if all those people would come back, it would just be standing room only every Sunday. Well, here's an easy way, and maybe a non-intrusive way to say, hey, brother, I've missed you. Please come back. Send it to them in the mail. Maybe that's even more non-intrusive way to give them this material. It's just one more way, one more thing to say, hey, please come back. You know, there's a lot of people, I don't know how many times I've heard it as a preacher. Somebody says, Brian, I would have come back sooner, but I was just embarrassed. You know, I think people would look down on me. Have you ever heard that? Well, here's a way to say, yeah, we miss you. We want you back. Please, please come back. I care about your soul. Consider this quote with me from India. With your partnership, prayers, and encouragement, our God continues to open doors beyond human imagination for the church here. Through all these factors, the number of converts in 2017 has reached to 1,000. We received this quote on May 26th. 1,000 souls in 5 months. Friends, the masses can be reached. We just have to get busy. We just have to get to work. I heard it said one time that evangelism is not something we do once in a while. In other words, it's not a church program. It's something we do all day, every day. We just have to get busy. How many of my friends and my family and my coworkers, I'm a little bit ashamed, as a matter of fact, as I think about some of those that I have not talked to about the gospel. How are we going to reach the entire world with the gospel? It's kind of like the old Nike slogan, just do it. If I could preach a sermon on one word, that would be it. Do. Because we have to get to work and we need to do the work. We also have some teaching DVDs. I think these are really good for evangelism as well. In this DVD, Don Blackwell teaches the truth about heaven, the truth about hell, the truth about where do we go when we die, and also it includes the What Must I Do to Be Saved program. I want you to imagine something with me. I want you to imagine 1,500 people every single day lining up at your church building door, wanting to ask your preacher this question. Why do I say 1,500 people? Because that's how many people, or that's how many views every day this gets online. Every single day, people are searching for the answer. And if you don't get anything out of this lesson, I want you to understand people are searching for the truth. And we just have to find a way to get it to them. There was a lady who almost died in Georgia in a car accident. And she was in the recovery room, and she was wondering, well, what would have happened to me if I would have died? And she asked her friends and her family, and they didn't really have a good answer for her. And so she began to look online. And she found our video, Where Do We Go When We Die? And she said, that's it. That's what would have happened to me if I would have died. Unfortunately, that meant she would have been lost. And so at 3 o'clock in the morning, she watched the video, Why Are There So Many Churches? And she said, there's the church I need to be a part of. And at 8 o'clock in the morning, she called our offices that morning, and we put her into contact with the church in Georgia where she's from. Friends, people are searching. We've got to find a way to get the truth in front of people. We also have a DVD called Islam, the Quran, and Christianity. As we all know, Islam is becoming a more and more influential religion in the world. In a Pew study in 2015, approximately 24% of the world is Muslim. That is 1.8 billion Muslims in the world today, making it the second largest religion. Not all Muslims want to blow us up. Not all Muslims are terrorists. But all of them, every single one of them, is a lost soul. And they need to hear the truth. And this program will teach you a little bit more about what they believe and where they're coming from. So we'll be educated when it comes to trying to reach them with the truth. Can you imagine if we could reach more of the Muslim population? And we are reaching a lot of the Muslim population with this material, as you'll see here in just a little bit. But we've got to get busy. We've got to encourage our congregations. We've got to encourage our members. We've got to encourage our elders to want to be involved in mission works and in supporting mission works. We also have a faith-based movie called Bound. It's a 2-hour movie based on a young woman who lost her way in life, and a family takes her in and teaches her the gospel, shows her there's still hope. And it's been reported to us that about 100 conversions using this program as an evangelism tool. And the point is, it's just a different way. Maybe you have somebody who doesn't want to watch the Searching for Truth program, but they'll watch a movie. It's just one more different way to try to reach somebody. Did I say we're going to have to get creative? Because we are. And we're going to have to use every resource. And you're going to hear a lot of good resources today. And so I hope you will use some of those and begin thinking about how you might reach some of your friends and neighbors. We also have some evangelism books. Searching for Truth is the word-for-word study of the Searching for Truth program on DVD. It also includes some discussion questions and things at the end of each chapter. But we also have a book called Transformed. Many are probably familiar with The Muscle and a Shovel by Michael Shank. We passed out a lot of those when I was in Indiana preaching. But Transformed is designed with the same idea in mind. It tells the story of a young man's conversion. And I didn't realize it, but John Grubb is the one who told us about this book. But anyway, Lance Mosier, who's a missionary in New Zealand, does a great job telling his story about how he was converted. And it's a really good evangelistic tool. As a matter of fact, I just heard about a blind lady who received this book, and of course she's blind, she couldn't read it, and so she visited her daughter in San Antonio, and her daughter read it to her, and she was baptized as a result. Again, people are searching for the truth. And I want to drill that into your head, because we have sort of lost that in the church today. We think people just aren't interested in spiritual things, but people are. We have just got to find a way to get them the truth. We are told to go into all the world and preach the good news. Each one of us cannot go everywhere, but we have resources and tools like these that can go places that we cannot. And there are workers in countries just begging to get good resources. I mean, they can't go to their local Barnes & Noble. They can't go to the Christian bookstore. But we can send it to them. We can use the resources that we've been blessed with and send them these good materials. Let me show you how some people have used these materials. First of all, you can display them in the church foyer. You would be surprised how many members and preachers and elders who are not familiar with the good resources available to them. I don't know how many times I've talked to elderships who had no idea about the material available. Or maybe it's a member and they don't know if it's sound material or not. And so a good way is to display, as I've seen you do here, good sound material for them to use. You can also display them in businesses. If you run a business, you work in a place where there's a lobby or a waiting room, an oil change place or something like that, a doctor's office, anywhere that you might be able to display these items. Friends, the denominations are doing it. We need to do it. We need to have the truth there. One guy, as you see there, he bought a realtor display boxes, and he put those up around town with the material in it. Any way, any different, unique way to get the material, the truth, in front of people. That's the point. Community events, trade shows. You might be surprised that a lot of Walmarts will allow you to put up a table, just like they'd let the Boy Scouts or something put up a table outside of Walmart. But if you do that, let me encourage you to do something. Put 3 words. A big sign that says free religious DVDs. Number 1, people like free stuff, right? We all like free stuff. Number 2, it's religious. People are either going to be interested in religious things or they're not. And number 3, it's It's a DVD. It's something with some value. It's not just a piece of paper that you're trying to give them. Free religious DVDs, and you may have the most success that you could have in doing that. How about this? How about door knocking? Is that what door knocking seems to be like anymore? Listen, friends, door knocking does still work. It does. People who say door knocking doesn't work are people who are usually not doing anything. But let me just give you another option. How many have a Facebook account? A lot of people have a Facebook account. If you don't have a Facebook account, you probably have email. I want to encourage you to choose 7 friends a week. That's just one a day. Send them a message. Hey, you know where you're going when you die? Would you like to know more? And then attach the video in, the link to the video into the message. It's just one more way. I mean, kids are on their phones all the time. It's just one more way. Parents are on their phones all the time. What am I saying? One more way to get the truth in front of people. Prison Works, we send a lot of our material to Prison Works around the United States. One of those, David Atnip, he has a prison ministry in Georgia, and last August he baptized 65 inmates. Friends, 65 people in 1 year, that would be great for any congregation, would it not? How about this? Family Bible studies. If we're ever going to think about reaching the masses, we have got to start in our homes. I don't know if you realize it, but Satan wants to get a foothold in your home. Satan wants to get a foothold in your marriage. Satan hates you. I don't know if you realize that. He hates you. He wants to ruin your life. And we need to teach our children, and we need to teach our family. Imagine the benefits your family could have with just a 30-minute Bible study every night, and you don't have to prepare for it. You just put a DVD in. You just get online. We'll talk about those resources here in just a minute. Matter of fact, we have a lot of our material on Roku. If you have a Roku device, you can download our app there and use that. That's just that easy. Just like you go to Netflix, well, you just go to the WVBS app. And so one study said that those who had left the church, that 70% were teens and young adults who had not been taught what they needed to know. Friends, we need to have family Bible studies. If we're going to reach the masses, we've got to start in our homes. Also, missionaries. Many missionaries will take these tools to the mission field. This woman here is in Guyana, South America, and she's using some of our posters. We have some high-quality posters, a lot of Bible teaching at a glance. You can also download these online for free from our website, and at a smaller version of them, 8.5 by 11 size. But again, a lot of Bible teaching at a glance. But you can take these on mission trips and to give to missionaries and things like that. Let's talk about missionaries for a moment. I know others are going to be talking about them as well. But if we're ever going to reach the masses, we're going to have to send out more missionaries. And we're going to have to be missionaries. Jesus said in Matthew 9 and verse 37, "The harvest truly is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Therefore pray the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers into his field." Can you imagine having millions of starving people in the world, and you have all of these crops that are ready to be harvested, and no one's willing to go out and harvest them? It just doesn't make sense, does it? How many people would die because of that? How many people will die spiritually? Because we have people who do not want to get out there and do the work. One study said 4% of the population of the world lives in the United States, but the United States has 97% of the world's preachers. You may have heard that before. That's 3% of the world's preachers have to cover 96% of the rest of the world. We've got to send our brethren out. We've got to get to work. We've got to support those going on the mission field. We have to support good mission works in the brotherhood. How then shall they call on him in whom they've not believed? How shall they believe in him in whom they've not heard? And how shall they hear without a preacher? Romans 10 verse 14. We've got to send people out. One of the ways congregations can be involved with WVBS is through our Church of Christ donation fund. Any time a church sends money to WVBS, it is used to send material absolutely free to brethren around the world. And one of those particular works was in Accra, Ghana. And they began receiving our material in February of 2014, just 3 years ago. Listen to their latest report. This was in April of 2017, so in 3 years, By the grace of God, the Lord added to his church 11,246 souls who've been baptized into Christ for the remission of their sins by the end of April 2017. And we're still going around all parts of Ghana spreading the good news of Christ. Friends, 11,000 souls. That's incredible. But again, it shows you that there are people who are searching, and we need to give them the truth. We need to be involved in these works. I don't know how many people have told me, and we've already mentioned it, Brian, people just aren't interested in spiritual things anymore. Well, that means I either have to believe you, or I have to believe the Lord, who said the harvest truly is plentiful. And I believe the Lord. We need to get out there and work. I've got to be honest, I'm here to talk about the resources of World Video Bible School. I believe we have some of the greatest resources in the Brotherhood. I wouldn't have let full-time mission work or full-time preaching otherwise. But I don't really care what you're using. I just want you to use something. Use the Bible if you can do that. But these are just tools that will help. You're going to hear about some of the greatest resources at your fingertips today. I just want you to get out there and get to work. And we need to tell, I know I'm preaching to the choir here, somebody who'd come to an evangelism seminar. We need to tell our congregations about these resources, though. That will make it easier. And we need to get them to get to work. Well, I can't have a sermon if I don't get you to go to a verse. Let's go to Acts chapter 17. If we're going to reach the masses, we're going to have to start right here in America, and we need to use some of these resources right here in America. You know, there are places here in America that don't have the Lord's church, and they need missionaries. There are places in Memphis, Tennessee. You guys have lots of churches, but you still need missionaries because there are still lost souls. In Acts chapter 17 and verse 1, now when they had passed through Amphipolis and Apollonia, they came to Thessalonica, where there was a synagogue of the Jews. I'm reading from the New King James. Then Paul, as his custom was, went into them, and for 3 Sabbaths reasoned with them from the Scriptures, explaining and demonstrating that the Christ had to suffer and rise again from the dead, and saying, this Jesus whom I preach to you is the Christ. And some of them were persuaded, and a great multitude of devout Greeks, and not a few of the leading women, joined Paul and Silas. But the Jews, verse 5, who were not persuaded, becoming envious, took some of the evil men from the marketplace, and gathering a mob, set all the city in an uproar, and attacked the house of Jason, and sought to bring them out to the people. Well, here's what I want you to really see. Verse 6, but when they did not find them, they dragged Jason and some of the brethren to the rulers of the city, crying out, these who have turned the world upside down have come here too. These who have turned the world upside down. How did they do that? One by one, they turned people to God. They got out and they got to work using the resources they had in that day, and they got to work taking a stand for Jesus Christ. If we will take a stand for Christ, if we will be different from the world, we can turn the world upside down. You may not, who knows who you will influence. You may influence somebody to become the next Marshall Keeble. You may influence somebody to become the next Andrew Connolly or Billy Bland. Maybe, or you might not want to do that. Just kidding. Just kidding. You never know who you might influence. You might influence somebody who becomes a great supporter of mission works. It's truly amazing what God can do when we will get to work in His kingdom. How are we going to reach the masses? One soul at a time. But we've got to let people know. We've got to show them what we've got. One of the things that we've done in this country is we've built nice buildings like this. We've padded the pews, heat in the winter, air conditioning in the summer. We're just waiting for the crop to come in already harvested. Friends, it's not going to work. It's never worked. It's not going to work now. We've got to go. Go, Jesus said. Go and make disciples of all nations. Go, therefore. We've got to get out and do it. We've got to do what the world calls advertising. People are bombarded with advertisements every day. The internet, television, the radio, newspaper, whatever it is. Maybe if you go to New York or wherever this picture is from, but people are bombarded with advertisement every single day. Competition to get people's attention is everywhere. Car dealerships and beverage companies and anyone else that sells a product advertises it. And those companies will spend millions upon millions of dollars to knowing that only a fraction of those people who see it is going to buy their product. Matter of fact, Coca-Cola in 2014 spent $3.5 billion on advertising. Someone says, well, Brian, we're just not in the same league as Coca-Cola. Well, why not? We have the greatest product the world has ever known. Amen. They have a product that if you drink of it, it will quench your thirst. We have a product, if you drink of it, you will never thirst, Jesus said in John 4 and verse 14. How much does the church spend on advertising the gospel? How much does your congregation where you're from spend on advertising the gospel? How about you individually? How much of your time and resources and energy do you spend on spreading the gospel around the world? Technology today is allowing us to do some amazing things we were never able to do before. And really, this is where we're going to reach the masses in the world today. Video.wvbs.org is a website that WVBS has created. We have 750 free videos to view on that website. It's estimated that 3 billion people now have access to the internet, and that's very exciting. We can now record a program and put it online and instantly have access to billions of people around the world. As I understand it, this program right here is being live streamed around the world. What an exciting tool that we have. What an amazing avenue for us to share the gospel. This is how we're going to do it in the 21st century. This is how we're going to reach the masses. These videos are on track to reach well over 1 million views this year. Our DVD sales are going down, but our online views are going way, way up. Imagine how many souls we could reach if every Christian got involved in promoting these resources, in promoting these tools, in promoting the truth. There are really hundreds of ways that you can use these. You can put these on your church website. Please do that. Put them in on your Facebook page. Put them on through email or something like that. Whatever it might be, there are tons of ways to get this material in front of people. And again, that's the point. We've got to get the resources. We've got to get the truth in front of people. We also have some evangelism cards. These are business-sized cards that you can hand out to people. The waitress at the restaurant, maybe put it in the Gideon Bible that's in your hotel room. I meant to do that, but all my cards were here. John, I'm going to have to get you to get some of those. Here's the point. Any way to get the material in front of people, and I'll just be honest, before I was a Christian, I was a cashier at a local grocery store, and somebody came through my line and gave me one of those cards to pray Jesus into your heart. Well, I didn't know any better at that time, so I did it. And the reason I say that is, you just never know who's got an open heart and ready and willing to watch a DVD or watch a video like this. I know better now that was wrong, but you never know who's going to respond. We also have a free online Bible school. In 2014, we began this free online school. It's absolutely free to the student. It covers every book of the Bible, including some other studies, some specialized studies. Students can take these on their own time, at their own pace, and in their own homes. And it's just like the instruction you get at a preaching school or a Bible school, but especially for people who are already in their jobs and things or have families and difficult to go to a physical preaching school, this is a great way to study the Bible. And here's the exciting part. Over 12,000 students are actively involved in studies right now. 12,000 students around the world, with 150 new students every single week signing up. And maybe the most exciting part, 2/3 of these are not yet Christians. What a wonderful evangelistic tool. 12,000 students, and 2/3 of those are not yet Christians, and they are studying the Bible in depth. They are studying the truth in depth. At the end of last year, there had been over 74,000 lessons completed. That's a 40-minute Bible study, 74,000 times, to 2/3 of those people not yet Christians. Friends, that's awesome. This is how we're going to reach the masses. We are reaching countries that probably would not receive a missionary, a country like Mauritius, out in the middle of the Indian Ocean, off the coast of Madagascar, really small, probably not cost effective to send a missionary there, but we're reaching. We've got We've got students from there. We are also, as this slide shows, we are reaching many Muslim countries. How are we going to reach the masses? This is it right here. Perhaps the most exciting thing going on at World Video Bible School right now is the Chinese Bible School. William Chen and his wife Yolanda. William was a missionary in Taiwan. They were missionaries in Taiwan, and they have now relocated on their own volition, relocated to Texas to begin translating all of the free online Bible school into Chinese. Why is that exciting? Because there are 335 million people who speak English as their native language. And the free online school has, as you saw, over 12,000 students actively involved in studies. But there are approximately 1.2 billion people who speak Chinese. John can probably correct me on that number if I'm wrong. 1.2 billion, that's almost 3 times as many Chinese speakers. And if the Where Do We Go When We Die program in Chinese is any testament to how it's going to be for this school, we're in for a treat. Because over the last 30 days, the Where Do We Go When We Die program in Chinese was our most viewed program with over 50,000 views in the month of September. We are on the verge of perhaps the greatest evangelistic work our brotherhood has known that has the potential to reach over 1 billion people. It is estimated by the year 2020 there will be 30 billion devices that can access the internet. That is at least 4 devices per person for everyone on the planet. We are living in exciting times, and I hope you realize that, and I hope you realize the great potential we have now to spread the gospel to the masses. Why did God choose you? You ever ask this question? Why did God choose you to live in this day and time? Is it so that you can use your resources to spread His word? So that you can use your God-given, God-blessed resources to reach the lost? Let me close by giving you a statistic. Jesus said, "To whom much is given, much will be required." Luke 12 and verse 48. Listen to this statistic. Of the 7.4 billion people in the world today, half of them live on $2 a day. If you have any money in the bank, any at all, you are richer than 90% of the rest of the world. If your household income is $48,000, household income, then you are in the richest 1% of the entire world. If you wanted to be a 1%er, it is not that difficult to do it in this country. Friends, we've been given much. What are we doing? What are we doing to send missionaries into the field? What are we doing to support mission works in the brotherhood like World Video Bible School? I hope you are already thinking about using these resources, and I hope you'll find them valuable. The printed resources can go where we cannot. DVDs can go where we cannot. And certainly the internet and some of these tools that you've seen in this presentation, but also in the ones you'll see all day today, can go where we cannot. What are you doing to reach the lost? Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for allowing me to be here.
Thank you, Brother Brian. As I said at the very outset, I'm excited about the opportunities that are out here before us. And just hearing of this one tunnel of way, if you will, of tunneling the gospel through World Video Bible School, what a tremendous opportunity that we have using the internet. You know, perhaps God, in His good wisdom, at this point in time, as far as the population of the world is, then has given us these tools that we might use them for great good. And so we appreciate Brother Brian. You know, one thing that we do, Brother Brian, is if we have new